think of myself as. I don't wake up in the morning and look at myself in the mirror like, good morning, self-made billionaire.
You don't? I do.
Yeah, Jen, it's hard tight.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll see you at the Deuce or something, huh?
sure. See you at the Deuce.
In Hollywood, the wrong relationship can make you a legend or a liability. Every move is watched, every connection is analyzed, and when you mix love with brand strategy, the stakes go sky high. Timothée Chalamet built his career on artistry, mystique, and the kind of selective presence that made him feel untouchable. Then came Kylie Jenner, an unexpected crossover into one of the most powerful media empires in the world. The pairing sent shockwaves through pop culture, and the publicity was instant. But in the industry's inner circles, another question started to surface. Was this a brilliant PR play or a gamble that could cost him the image he spent years building? And more importantly, was it worth it?
Now, we also saw Kylie and Timmy living their best, most loved up.
Before Kylie Jenner ever became part of his story, Timothée Chalamet had already established himself as one of Hollywood's most respected young actors. A rarity in an industry where many careers burn bright and fade fast. His rise wasn't fueled by tabloid drama or overexposure, but by a steady string of critically acclaimed performances that positioned him as both a serious artist and a cultural style icon. His breakout in Call Me By Your Name didn't just earn him an Oscar nomination at 22. It instantly set him apart as a once-in-a-generation talent. Critics compared him to the young Leonardo DiCaprio, praising his depth, sensitivity.
No wonder Kylie Jenner had a stiff expression at the Oscars. 3 secrets of Timothée Chalamet made her unable to relax throughout the event.
An ability to carry a film without the crutch of spectacle. Instead of capitalizing on the hype with a flood of projects, he chose roles carefully. Supporting turns in Lady Bird, leading parts in Beautiful Boy and The King. And later, high-profile but still prestigious projects like Little Women and Dune. Off-screen, his brand was equally intentional. He wasn't known for club hopping or headline-making romances. Instead, his public image was defined by selective appearances, often tied to film premieres, awards season, or the fashion world. His relationship with high-fashion brands like Heider Ackermann and Louis Vuitton.
Kylie Jenner has reacted to Timothée Chalamet winning the SAG Award for Best Actor. Timothée has shocked everyone by taking home the Best Actor.
Reinforced his image as a tastemaker, not just an actor. He cultivated a mystique, rare interviews, minimal personal disclosures, and a quiet avoidance of celebrity oversharing that made every sighting feel like an event. This scarcity was his superpower. It gave him an aura that casting directors and studios valued, an actor whose fame came from talent, not scandal, and whose presence elevated a project simply by being attached to it. It's why his casting choices carried weight, why his endorsements felt authentic, and why fans trusted him to deliver something worth watching. So when the first whispers of a romance with Kylie Jenner surfaced, it was more than a gossip headline.
We're very privileged tonight to be joined by the runner-up in New York's recent Timothée Chalamet lookalike competition.
It was a shock to the system. Kylie belonged to a completely different celebrity universe, one built on constant visibility, high-volume content, and media saturation. For Timothée, whose brand thrived on the opposite, it was a move that didn't fit the mold he'd spent years perfecting. And that's exactly why it caught so much attention. Not just from fans, but from Hollywood itself. When Timothée Chalamet's name first appeared alongside Kylie Jenner's, the internet went into overdrive. For months, their relationship dominated pop culture chatter, not just because it was unexpected, but because it bridged two worlds that rarely overlap.
Let's go! What's up, brother?
Kylie wasn't just a high-profile partner. She was the centerpiece of the Kardashian-Jenner media empire, a family that has mastered the art of staying relevant by keeping their personal lives inseparable. from their public brands. For Timothée, the impact was immediate. Overnight, he went from being featured in Variety and The Hollywood Reporter to appearing on gossip blogs, influencer podcasts, and TikTok edits with millions of views. His audience expanded beyond film enthusiasts and fashion insiders to include Kylie's massive following, people who might never have seen Call Me By Your Name or Dune, but now knew exactly who he was because of her.
Jenner was first linked to Oscar nominee Timothée Chalamet in April 2023. Early reports suggested that Kylie's sister Kendall.
This shift also changed the type of attention he was getting. Instead of slow, calculated bursts of publicity tied to a project, he was suddenly part of a 24/7 media cycle. Every courtside date at an NBA game, every kiss caught on camera at the US Open, and every red carpet moment with Kylie became instant viral content. For the first time in his career, his personal life was overshadowing his professional work in the public conversation. On the surface, this wasn't entirely bad news. Kylie's influence gave Timothée a level of mainstream visibility he'd never had before, bringing him into the homes and onto the phone screens of millions.
Paulie Chalamet cannot stand Kylie Jenner. There has been a major fallout between the Chalamet siblings, and I'm here to...
Who didn't typically follow the world of prestige cinema. But it also meant stepping into a spotlight that doesn't turn off, a world where the pace of attention is relentless, and the pressure to feed the narrative is constant. And for someone who had built his brand on scarcity and selectivity, that kind of exposure was both a blessing and a potential risk. In the immediate aftermath of going public with Kylie Jenner, Timothée Chalamet experienced a surge in visibility that most actors could only dream of. Suddenly, his name wasn't just circulating in the usual indie film and awards season circles. It was trending daily across platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
People are upset with Timothée Chalamet for dating Kylie Jenner. So right now there's a rumor that Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner are dating.
For someone whose previous media strategy relied on carefully timed bursts of attention, this was an entirely new level of cultural saturation. The timing couldn't have been more advantageous. His romance with Kylie overlapped with the Wonka press tour, which meant that every public sighting doubled as indirect promotion. Entertainment outlets that might have passed on covering Wonka outright suddenly had a reason to talk about it because Timothée was now half of one of the most talked about couples in pop culture. That free publicity helped extend the reach of the movie far beyond its intended audience. Luxury brands noticed too.
We actually met, if you remember, we met in an audition room.
In a casting office.
That's right.
This is
Timothée had already established himself as a fashion favorite, but his pairing with Kylie made him even more marketable. High-end labels understand that visibility is currency, and being attached to someone with Kylie's reach turned him into a walking billboard for high fashion and luxury lifestyle. Campaign offers and event invitations that were already elite now had an even bigger audience to capture. Even his social media presence got a lift. While Timothée has never been one to overshare, any post, even the rare, cryptic kind, received an avalanche of attention simply because of the Kylie connection. In the short term, this level of buzz made him one of the most visible names in Hollywood.
Keep our guest Chris.
Yeah, it's cold outside and it's cold in here, so
well,
figured I'd get warm.
You're welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me again, man. This is a movie.
Capable of trending without releasing a film, signing a deal, or doing a single interview. For a few months, it seemed like the perfect symbiosis. He brought Kylie prestige and artistry, and she gave him unprecedented reach and cultural ubiquity. But the question looming over it all was whether this kind of constant exposure could be sustained, or whether it would start to chip away at the very mystique that made him valuable in the first place. For all the immediate buzz Kylie Jenner brought to Timothée Chalamet's profile, the long-term effects were far less predictable and potentially dangerous. In Hollywood, constant exposure can be a double-edged sword. The same saturation that keeps you trending can also change how the industry sees you, sometimes in ways that are hard to undo. One of the biggest risks was overexposure. Timothee had spent years carefully controlling his image, only surfacing for films, awards, and fashion moments. By stepping into Kylie's world, he entered a media machine that never switches off. For a while, the novelty worked in his favor, but the more his personal life dominated headlines, the more he risked being known as Kylie Jenner's boyfriend, rather than a serious actor. That kind of rebranding, intentional or not, can stick, especially with casual audiences who now know him more for romance than roles. There was also the risk of brand dilution. Timothee's value in Hollywood isn't just about his acting ability. It's about what he represents: prestige, selectivity, and a certain level of artistic credibility. Associating too closely with a reality TV and influencer empire could, in the eyes of some industry gatekeepers, make him seem less serious or less aligned with the auteur-driven projects that built his career. Then there's the casting hesitation factor. Directors and producers who previously saw him as a blank slate, a transformative performer free of media baggage, might now question whether the tabloid attention
Look at this. Perfect. Oh my God.
could overshadow a film. In industries where subtlety and immersion matter, that's a legitimate concern. These aren't guaranteed outcomes, but they're part of the unspoken calculus in Hollywood. Public image is currency, and while Kylie's world delivered a flood of attention, it also tied Timothee's brand to a different set of cultural associations, ones that might not align with the very audience and industry credibility he spent years cultivating. In short, the Kylie effect was powerful, but not without a price tag. And whether that price is worth paying depends on how well Timothee manages the next phase of his career.
I don't want to. Just give it to Luis.
Timothée Chalamet isn't the first actor to face this kind of crossroads. In Hollywood, dating someone with massive public visibility can either catapult your career into a new stratosphere or quietly erode the image you've spent years building. The industry has seen both outcomes play out, and the difference often comes down to how well an actor can control the narrative. Look at Zendaya and Tom Holland. Their relationship became a pop culture fixation, but both managed to keep the focus on their work. They carefully balanced public appearances with professional achievements, making sure their couple status enhanced their careers rather than overshadowed them. On the other end of the spectrum is Ben Affleck's early 2000s Bennifer era with Jennifer Lopez. Their romance dominated headlines to the point where his professional credibility took a hit. When Giggly flopped, the media frenzy around their personal life only amplified the backlash, and it took years for him to rebuild his reputation as a serious actor and filmmaker. Even Harry Styles has navigated this tightrope. His relationships have generated huge tabloid attention, but he's managed to balance it with consistent artistic output and carefully chosen projects, ensuring that his work remains part of the conversation.
For the life of me, because I only know her in the context of that show, I cannot imagine her meeting Kylie Jenner for the first time.
The pattern is clear. The more your personal life overshadows your professional work, the harder it becomes to maintain industry respect. Public curiosity can be a powerful marketing tool, but it's also volatile. If the relationship ends, or if the publicity becomes the primary talking point, it can leave an actor vulnerable to being defined by a single chapter rather than their overall body of work. Timothee's situation fits right into this pattern. Kylie Jenner brought him unprecedented reach, but also attached his name to a constant gossip cycle. Whether that ends up boosting his career or boxing him into a new and potentially limiting public identity,
I'm a mommy.
Mommy?
I'm a mom.
Mamacita.
I'm kidding.
will depend entirely on how he navigates the aftermath. In the entertainment industry, high-profile relationships are like a high-stakes PR gamble. When they're timed right and handled carefully, they can create a surge of publicity that fuels both partners' careers. But if the balance tips too far towards spectacle, the same attention that once felt like a boost can turn into a distraction, or worse, a liability. For Timothée Chalamet, dating Kylie Jenner put him in front of millions of new eyes almost overnight. That kind of reach is something PR teams dream about. It helped amplify the Wonka press tour, expanded his recognition.
What do you think Kylie calls him? Because it can't be Timothée. Timmy? Tim? Lil T? Big G.
Beyond cinephiles and kept him trending for reasons that had nothing to do with his movie schedule. But that visibility came with a shift in perception. And in Hollywood, perception shapes opportunity. The challenge lies in control. If the public starts associating you more with your relationship than your craft, it's a warning sign that the narrative is slipping out of your hands. That's when the prestige actor label can start to blur into celebrity personality. And that distinction matters to the kinds of directors, producers, and studios Timothée has historically worked with. The backfire risk isn't just about artistic credibility. It's about audience fatigue. Pop culture cycles move fast, and a couple that dominates the headlines for too long risks burning through public goodwill. One misstep, overexposed moment, or career lull can flip the conversation from fascination to skepticism. Timothée's next moves will determine which side of the line he ends up on. If he leans into projects that reinforce his acting credibility, the Kylie chapter could be remembered as a smart, calculated PR wave that didn't derail his trajectory. But if he lets the couple narrative overshadow his craft, Hollywood could quietly start to see him in a different light, one that's harder to shift back.
Gnarly.
It's 2025, too long away.
Oh, it's 2025?
Yeah.
Jeez. That's nuts.
When you strip away the hype, the viral photos, and the endless online discourse, the real question is much simpler. Did dating Kylie Jenner ultimately help Timothée Chalamet's career? Or did it quietly plant seeds that could hurt it in the long run? In the immediate sense, the answer leans toward yes. The Kylie connection propelled Timothée into a new level of mainstream recognition almost overnight. People who had never seen Call Me By Your Name, Beautiful Boy, or Dune suddenly knew his name and face. For a few crucial months, he wasn't just an actor with critical acclaim. He was part of a pop culture phenomenon that reached far beyond the scope of any one film.
Giving anything away, there's a good amount of blood in that too. So, Denise is wanting to write a thank you to Luca to say
that kind of exposure can open unexpected doors, lucrative brand partnerships, wider audience interest in his movies, and the ability to command attention on a global scale without a single trailer or press junket. The timing made it even more impactful. His relationship with Kylie unfolded in parallel with his Wonka press tour, meaning every public outing doubled as indirect marketing for the movie. The constant coverage gave Warner Brothers millions of dollars worth of free publicity, while Timothée's name stayed in the headlines daily. From a PR perspective, it was a perfect storm. But the long-term cost is harder to measure, and that's where the risk lies.
No, that looks like the two most terrifying basketball players of all time.
That's right, it really does, yeah.
Believe it or not, we got absolutely ran.
By immersing himself in Kylie's 24/7 media ecosystem, Timothée inevitably shifted his brand positioning. For years, he had been the actor who existed just outside of mainstream tabloid culture. maintaining an air of exclusivity and mystique. With Kylie, he became part of a machine that thrives on constant visibility, speculation, and narrative control through overexposure. The more people saw him in the role of Kylie's boyfriend, the less they associated him solely with his body of work. In Hollywood, that shift can be subtle but damaging. Casting directors, producers, and even audiences might subconsciously start to see him less as a transformative actor
kit for herself that can't be denied. So, Kylie, how does it feel to have the title Youngest Self-Made Billionaire?
and more as a celebrity personality. And once that perception sets in, it's incredibly difficult to reverse. So, was it worth it? In the short run, yes, it gave him unmatched visibility, broadened his reach, and injected his public persona with an entirely new layer of intrigue. But the ultimate verdict depends entirely on what he does next. If he uses this expanded platform to double down on prestige roles, work with auteurs, and remind people why he earned his reputation in the first place, the Kylie chapter will go down as a smart, strategic PR wave. If he drifts too far into the celebrity first narrative, it might be remembered as the moment his career trajectory began to change. Not because of a lack of talent, but because the spotlight shifted from his work to his personal life. Right now, the Kylie era is still fresh enough to be defined. The question is whether Timothée will let the media keep writing that story, or if he'll take back the pen and decide how this chapter ends. If Timothée Chalamet wants to maintain the momentum he's built while protecting the prestige he's earned, the next phase of his career will need to be as carefully crafted as the years before Kylie Jenner entered the picture. This is where the stakes get higher, because Hollywood has a short memory for artistry when celebrity spectacle takes center stage. The first move will be recentering his narrative on the work.
With a green scarf, the two looked comfortable and close, a quiet but clear sign that their relationship is very much intact.
That means anchoring himself in projects that are impossible to ignore. Oscar contenders, collaborations with visionary directors, and roles that challenge both him and the audience. If his next headlines are tied to awards buzz rather than relationship speculation, the industry will be reminded of why they took him seriously in the first place. Second, he'll need to control the visibility dial. The Kylie era showed him what it's like to live inside a constant spotlight. But going forward, pulling back strategically will help restore the mystique that made him stand out. This doesn't mean vanishing completely. It means appearing only when it matters, in contexts that reinforce his credibility.
Sense it. I can just feel it. Okay, now that Light Skin Beaver is back, I think we should get back to this topic.
Rather than dilute it. Third, he can leverage the expanded audience without pandering to it. The Kylie connection brought him millions of casual fans who may not care about indie cinema. If he can draw some of that audience into his more serious work, through selective press, crossover projects, or even high-profile but substantive brand deals, he turns a fleeting pop culture moment into a sustainable career asset. Finally, Timothée must decide how personal he wants his public image to be. If he continues dating publicly, he'll need to ensure it complements his career narrative instead of competing with it. In Hollywood, every love story is a brand story, and the wrong pairing at the wrong time can undo years of careful positioning.
Well, you're already wearing a hat. I don't really understand, like, is it a functionality thing or is it just like, it's fashion, babe, okay?
The Kylie Jenner chapter may be closing, but how it's remembered will depend on what comes next. If Timothée plays it right, this period will be seen as a calculated detour that expanded his reach without compromising his core identity. If he miscalculates, it could be the turning point where the industry stops seeing him as a rare talent and starts seeing him as just another celebrity playing the fame game. In the end, the choice is his. And in an industry where public perception changes faster than box office numbers, Every move from here will count twice as much. Timothée Chalamet's relationship with Kylie Jenner will go down as one of the most talked about chapters of his career.
Stations hinting at a full-blown affair. Insiders say she knows more than she lets on, but for now, the show must go on.
Not because it was the most personal, but because it tested the delicate balance between artistry and celebrity. In the short term, it delivered exactly what high-profile romances are designed to deliver: visibility, buzz, and access to entirely new audiences. In the long term, it raised questions about how much of that attention came at the expense of the carefully built mystique that made him Hollywood's golden boy in the first place. The truth is, Kylie didn't define Timothee's career, but she did change the way the public and the industry looked at him. Now, the challenge is his to solve. He can use this expanded platform to reassert himself as a serious,
very affirming. I guess beyond the movie, he's really an actor. So that felt really good.
Actor, to work with the kinds of directors and on the kinds of projects that solidified his reputation, or he can lean further into celebrity culture and risk being consumed by it. Whether dating Kylie was worth it isn't a question that can be answered today. It's a verdict that will be written in the years to come, in the choices he makes and the roles he takes. In Hollywood, every chapter shapes the next. And this one may end up being remembered as either a masterclass in PR timing or the moment when Timothée Chalamet's career took a turn no one saw coming.